Introduction: A criminal mastermind on the loose. In the world of crime, some names become legends, not for their fame, but for the sheer terror they instill. Imagine a criminal so dangerous that even the highest security prisons can't keep them locked up. Today, we're diving into one of the most thrilling, jaw-dropping stories of an escape that stunned the world. How the world's most dangerous criminal managed to break free from a high-security Canadian prison. This escape wasn't just about getting out. It was a calculated, daring, and well-executed move that left law enforcement and the public in shock. With decades of crime behind him and a reputation for outwitting authorities, this criminal proved that no prison is escape-proof, no matter how secure. But how did he do it? Was it just luck, or was there a hidden plan in place for months? Stay tuned as we uncover the details of this incredible story. Here's a detailed section for the criminal's infamous reputation. The criminal's infamous reputation. Before the escape, this individual was already known as one of the most dangerous criminals to ever walk the earth. His name struck fear into the hearts of law enforcement and civilians alike, a figure whose very existence was a reminder of the dark underworld lurking just beyond the surface of society. His criminal empire spanned multiple countries, and he was linked to some of the most heinous crimes imaginable: murders, robberies, drug trafficking, and orchestrating violent syndicates that terrorized entire regions. His ruthless nature wasn't just about violence, it was about control. He had a mind like a chess player, always thinking several steps ahead, manipulating people and situations to his advantage. Over the years, he managed to stay one step ahead of the authorities, evading capture through a combination of careful planning, the use of high-level criminal contacts, and his ability to blend in with various identities. In fact, his reputation was so notorious that when he was eventually captured, it was considered a major victory for law enforcement worldwide. However, even behind bars, he remained a formidable figure. In prison, he continued to pull strings, maintaining influence and connections with the outside world. The authorities believed that locking him up in a maximum security Canadian prison would be the end of his reign, but they were wrong. Here's a detailed section for the prison, a high security facility. The prison, a high security facility. The facility where this criminal was imprisoned was not just any ordinary prison. It was one of Canada's most secure and tightly monitored institutions, designed specifically to house individuals who posed the highest level of threat to society. With state-of-the-art technology and a reputation for its impenetrable security systems, it was the last place anyone would expect someone like him to escape from. The prison was a fortress, surrounded by towering walls and multiple layers of razor wire, designed to make sure that no inmate could easily slip through the cracks. Inside, the security measures were even more intense. The complex was equipped with sophisticated surveillance systems, motion sensors, cameras in every corner, and a network of alarms ready to trigger at the slightest sign of trouble. Guards patrolled constantly, and every inch of the facility was monitored to ensure that nothing could go unnoticed. The criminal was placed in one of the most secure wings, isolated from other inmates who might pose any potential risk. This was a man who had once commanded a criminal empire, and authorities had no intention of giving him even a small chance to escape. It seemed like the perfect setup, a prison designed to hold the worst of the worst, and a criminal who had already outwitted countless security systems. But as history would soon show, no matter how advanced the security, sometimes the human mind can still find a way. Here's the section for the plan, how the escape was orchestrated. The plan, how the escape was orchestrated. The escape wasn't an accident. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was the culmination of months of planning, precision, and resourcefulness. The criminal, with his years of experience manipulating people and systems, had already started working on his escape long before anyone suspected he was plotting it. First, he carefully observed the daily routines of the prison. He studied the guards, noting their shifts, weaknesses, and habits. Every little detail was important to him. He knew exactly when the guards were most distracted, when the surveillance systems were less focused, and when the areas around the prison were less heavily monitored. He had a knack for exploiting these gaps, But the criminal didn't rely solely on his own cunning. He understood the power of connections. Behind the high walls and security systems, he still had access to a network of criminal contacts on the outside. Over time, he managed to secretly send out messages through covert channels. These messages were encoded, but they contained vital information about the prison's vulnerabilities, its blind spots, weaknesses in the security, and even the logistics of how he could break out. He also enlisted the help of a few inside contacts, fellow inmates who, whether out of fear or greed, were willing to assist him. These contacts helped him gather tools, distract guards, and even create diversions at key moments. With each passing day, the plan grew more refined, each component falling into place like a well-organized puzzle. By the time the day of the escape arrived, everything was set. The timing was perfect, the distractions were in place, and the criminal was ready to make his move. All that was left was the final execution. Here's the section for the escape, the daring breakout. The escape, the daring breakout. The day of the escape arrived, and it was nothing short of a calculated masterpiece. Every moment had been planned, and every move was executed with chilling precision. The criminal, with years of experience in evading law enforcement, knew that the smallest mistake could ruin everything. But this wasn't just a break for freedom, it was a statement. The first part of the plan involved timing. As the guards began their shift change, the criminal knew this was the perfect moment, when attention was divided and some security measures were temporarily relaxed. He had already planted distractions earlier in the day, small incidents in different parts of the prison to draw the guards away from his cell. Whether it was a minor altercation between inmates or a false alarm in a distant wing, each distraction was designed to pull attention away from the key areas. With the guards distracted, the criminal made his move. He'd spent weeks preparing his escape route, using tunnels, hidden passageways, and blind spots in the security cameras. As he moved through the dark corridors, every step was measured. His heart raced, but he remained calm, his years of planning now coming to fruition. He knew exactly where to hide, when to move, and how to stay out of sight. One of the most daring parts of the escape was when he had to cross an open area, an exposed section of the prison where the guards patrolled heavily. But once again, his plan was flawless. Just as he reached this vulnerable stretch, a loud commotion erupted in another part of the prison, causing the guards to rush in the opposite direction. The criminal sprinted across the open ground and quickly ducked into a maintenance tunnel. Once inside the tunnel, he was almost free. The final stage of his escape was the hardest, getting through the last set of reinforced gates. But, thanks to the help of his inside contacts, he had the keys and tools necessary to override the security system. With a few quick motions, the gates opened, and he slipped into the darkness of the night, a ghost escaping from a place designed to hold him forever. As the prison alarms went off and chaos erupted inside, the criminal was already far beyond the walls, blending into the shadows of the outside world. He had done it. He was free. Here's the section for the aftermath, the search and chaos that followed. The aftermath, the search and chaos that followed. The moment the criminal breached the final gate, a wave of panic swept over the prison. The once calm and controlled environment erupted into chaos. Alarms blared throughout the facility, lighting up the night sky with flashing red lights. Guards scrambled to lock down every entrance, frantically checking cells and scanning every inch of the prison. But it was too late. He was already gone. Outside the prison, the authorities had no idea where he was, and the search began in full force. Law enforcement agencies from across the country joined the manhunt, deploying every resource they could. Helicopters flew overhead, scanning vast stretches of wilderness. K-9 units were brought in to track his scent, and every known route the criminal could have taken was covered by roadblocks. The news media picked up on the story quickly, and soon the entire nation was gripped with fear and fascination as they followed the details of the escape. The criminal had become a ghost, vanishing into the night with a chilling mastery. He had anticipated the manhunt and used his deep knowledge of the terrain and local networks to evade capture. He slipped through cities, hid in plain sight, and took every precaution to stay one step ahead of the authorities. For days, the search continued, with no sign of the criminal. The prison and law enforcement faced immense pressure, and the public's fear grew as rumors swirled. Was he already out of the country? Had he made his way to a hidden hideout, relying on criminal contacts to help him? With each passing day, the authorities were faced with more questions than answers. Despite the growing tension and frustration among the authorities, the krimi